Rounds 1 to 5 are in the books and the standard is set high as we come to one of the UK's novelties. Brands Hatch is tight, twisty and a perfect challenge for our drivers in the iR-04 Challenge Series. Both consistency and speed will be the main ingredients for success today as the grid battles for 20 minutes. Will be key also, as picking the perfect moment to overtake could be the difference in such a sprint. And talking you through all the action that unfolds will be myself, Zach Sweeney, alongside Cameron Roger in the commentary booth, with Zach Johnson behind the scenes on the production feed. And Cam, we both have our fair share of this combo. And how are you feeling in towards today?
It's going to be great. This car's awesome, and such a short, sharp shoot around this track is going to be great as well. Brands Hatch so fast, loads of medium speed corners, and in this lower Formula car, open wheel car, I think it's really going to be a good match, and especially loads of slipstream down the straights as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, again, it is a track that is full of history. Of course, it is very tight and twisty. You do have to be careful. You do have to take that air of caution, because all it takes, as we've seen time and time again, as soon as you take, especially open wheelers around Brands Hatch, these cars are very, very sensitive. All it takes is the tiniest bit of contact, and that is enough to just shoot the car off into the gravel. And with iRacing and gravel, it is not a pretty sight, nor a pretty feeling to be stuck out there. And yeah, again, it is just going to be that patient, especially even in qualifying, not even just in the race, just in qualifying. Only 2 laps, of course, these drivers get. They've got to make sure each of those 2 laps, just keep it on the road and make sure you're just getting a lap time in, because track position is going to be ever so crucial today.
Yeah, overtaking is very possible in this car. It works on loads of different tracks, even Knock Hill we had last season as well. But for sure, this track isn't going to be the easiest. So you're right. The qualifying laps today are going to be crucial. But this track is so difficult. On paper, it looks like quite a simple layout, but there's so many different elevation changes, so many curbs. Some of them you can touch, some of them you can't. And you will see track limits being a bit of a thing at some of the corners here as well. So it's really just knowing the nuances of that track. It's a very irregular track in that regard, and loads of blind corners, so yeah, very difficult indeed. And that's why I'm guessing we're seeing some of the lap times being maybe a little bit more spread out than we've seen at other tracks.
Yeah, again, it is just going to be drivers trying to put a lap time in, because you go into this qualifying, you think chances are people aren't going to be at their best. People maybe are going to make the mistake, not put the best lap in possible. So if I can just sneak one in and just get a decent time, yes, it's not going to be completely towards the front, but even if it's 5 tenths off, it's still going to put me up there, maybe towards the top 10, or just not right at the back. And that is going to be the focus for a lot of drivers, just to not be right towards the back of the field. But even then, of course, you can benefit off some of the carnage that could open up towards the early stages of this race. But yeah, with only 20 minutes on the clock, it is going to be better to start towards the front of the field. This is Lewis McGlade at the moment, P9, 1.7 seconds off the pace as he goes through Clark Curve, and to round off yet another lap. It will be his final attempt. His best is a 1:24.0. What can he do on this second attempt? Does he improve? He does indeed, but only goes up into P10. At the moment, the benchmark is a 22.3, and Olsen 6 tenths back on that. He's got a bit of a gap to close back up.
Yeah, Tobias Olsen is a fast driver. I haven't seen him in one of these Friday Night Primes for a while, if I'm not mistaken. But in other series I know of him, he is definitely a fast driver to look out for. But of course, Santosh there towards the front with a big gap as well. So certainly looking very fast here, as we're getting Chidney here coming towards the line on 23.5 as well, putting himself up into 7th place.
Yeah, runs off into the gravel off the exit of Paddock Hill, and that is how easy it is, provided he probably wasn't on a push lap on that attempt. It is just so easy, the fine margins of the speed you can carry in these cars, especially through Paddock Hill, because the dip down through the elevation, of course, you're like, I'm going to run wide, and then the track levels itself out, and you're like, I've got loads of grip now. So it can be quite deceiving in that respect. And again, as we just saw there, all it takes is just one wheel off, and that really is going to be the difference between doing really well and, well, not doing so well in this race. Because, again, those fine margins, yeah, if you're stuck in such a heated battle, those mistakes can creep in quite easily.
They certainly can. It's such a tricky little track, and I think it's going to produce some great racing, but it's obviously difficult racing, and that's where the a bit of driver talent here and there can really overcome some people. And as you see at the front here, we've seen a couple of big gaps, but look at that sort of area in the field from sort of 6th place down to 11th, 12th place, just a couple of tenths separating those about 7 drivers there. So that midfield is going to be super tight, and it's going to be a really incredible battle between those drivers as well.
Yeah, it really will be, and certainly cannot wait for the 20-minute showdown that we have. Of course, still 1 minute on the clock in qualifying. I think we're just going to wait for the last couple of people to finish off their laps, and then we'll talk you through the grid order for what is going to be a 20-minute showdown here for round 6 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. And well, we haven't had our experience of Brands Hatch so far in these cars, but again, you have to expect, as you said a little bit earlier on, Cam, with how versatile this car is, it surely is going to be a good race. But as we have been saying, it's going to be more of a strategical fight more than an all-out brawl.
Yes, certainly. We've seen this quite a few times actually with this car, that we see a duo or a triplet sort of work their way around the track, and then when it comes to the last 5 minutes or so, you really see the battles start. Last week at Red Atlanta, we saw an amazing 3-way battle for the lead, and they were changing hands so many times, sending it down the inside of each other. And even on the final lap, the driver finishing in or starting, I should say, the lap, Nick Thyssen there, he started last lap in the lead. At the end of it, he was 3rd. So it can very easily change around in this car.
It can go from one extreme to the other very quickly. And of course, last week as well, we did see a car on its roof on the opening lap. So again, these cars are very sensitive, and you do have to be very careful and just play to your own and the track strengths. Of course, last week at Red Atlanta, we saw how people utilize the track's long straight towards 10A and 10B. And again, at Brands Hatch, they're going to utilize the likelihood of mistakes creeping their way through as well. But I think qualifying has come to a complete wrap. So we are going to take a look at how they rack up after that qualifying. I can tell you it's going to be Dion Santos on pole position. He'll be joined by Tobias Olsen on the front row, with Kevin Apau and Alfie Bredick making up 3 and 4. Craig Gregory and Alan Rasmussen 5 and 6, with only 1.2 seconds covering the front 3 rows. Kieran Chitsey in P7 with Ruben Moore in P8. Then comes Aaron Alves. He'll be joined by Jesper Sandstrom on that 5th row. Lewis McGlade just outside the top 10. He'll be joined with Stein Sapp there to his right-hand side. P13 goes to Ibanez Teba, with Chumo Portelainen P14. Nick Aronson rounds off the top 15 with Florian Doredet in P16. Spencer Reitzmar P17. And rounding off the grid there in P18 is Bruce Keys. Actually, no, it's not. It's Espen Knutsen in P19, the lone man there on the 10th row of the grid. And with 19 cars, a big grid, everyone charging their way down towards Paddock Hill, or also up towards Paddock Hill. Yeah, it's going to be an all-out brawl.
It certainly is, and it's going to be so tight down into turn 1. But of course, Druids at turn 2 is the one of the best overtaking opportunities. So see, massive dives down the inside there. It's going to be a great battle, and let's see how this 20-minute race goes. Yeah, we have got, I think, about 30 seconds or so on the clock. Oh, well, actually, no, we're not, because everyone's lined themselves up onto the grid. We get ourselves ready then for round 6 here at Brands Hatch for the iR-04 Challenge Series. Santos on pole. He'll be joined by Olsen alongside. And here we go. We're underway in racing. The number 3 gets a pretty good launch, but already Olsen darting to the inside, trying to find the gap as it's that short run towards Paddock Hill. Already on the defensive goes Santos. So Olsen going to try and go for the under and over towards Druids Bend. Already cars off towards the background. The number 1 car, though, looking for the outside line. It's the long way round of Druids. Can he get this one stuck? He's going to have the inside then for Graham Hill, but he gets muscled off the road there by Santos, who just about manages to retain the race lead. Now Kevin Apau on the back of Olsen through Graham for the first time, and pretty much a perfect start there from the number 3. And Apau had a good start last week as well, but fell off over the course of the race. So let's see if he can hold on a little bit longer this week. But for sure, Santos there holding on to lead, and that is the important part. As you say, track position is going to be good. But look at Bradick here in the background in number 4 machine in 4th place as well, getting the run as we come up towards Hawthorne's Bend, but not quite enough to have a look up the inside. Yeah, well, again, he has to take that air of caution just to, in towards that corner. It's not really the best overtaking opportunity in the world, unless you've really got a good run and you can utilize that slipstream as best as you can. Through Dingledale and in towards Sheen Curve. Again, a blind apex corner. You can really trust the car through that right-hander. Just got to chuck it in and hope the car sticks. But again, if there's an incident in front of you, it can be really sketchy and very easy for things to go wrong through Sterling's and towards the final corner of Clark for the first time. And it is still Santos that leads from Olsen, Powell, Bradick, Gregory,
Gregory, your top 5 as they round off after lap 1. People making progress on lap 1. Lewis, McGlade and Stein Sapp up a couple of places each, making use, I think, of that early skirmish, which again, it's just about minimizing the instance you're in. And honestly, around a track like Brands Hatch in a car like this, you can make up some serious ground just by keeping your nose clean.
You certainly can. It's going to be a race of attrition in some circumstances. I'm sure we're going to see quite a few drivers having a few spins here and there up and down the field, as we've seen McGlade there getting up in towards that 8th place, and behind him as well we've seen a driver just dropping down a little bit. I think just dropping a wheel there on the exit of Druids that sat there in 12th place. Might be losing out another position as well to Knutson coming up the inside as we come up to Surtees. That's going to be a very important corner coming onto the back straight.
He's got to be careful. I think Knutson has managed to get him up, and indeed so, but you can see Olsen has had a bit of an off, trying to scrape off some tyres there. You can see Gregory looking to the right-hand side, and also with Moran trying to follow him through in towards Hawthorns is indeed going to try and do so, but Olsen keeping him honest around the outside. He's going to have the outside for the next right-hander, but again, just has to tuck in behind those dirty tyres. Going to be his downfall through Dingledale. Has he got the run in towards Sheen Curve? Indeed he has. He's got the inside. That's going to be the dominant line, and well, he manages to get himself back inside the top 4, but he goes wide and he's spun. Oh my word, what a save from the number 1. I think Gregory, Moran, Sandstrom and McGlade were just like, okay, let's just let him have it. A bit of an off further up. I think McGlade has been caught up in this skirmish. Oh, this is big. This is huge crash. I think a good 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even more cars caught up in this one. And that is just how easy it can happen at a track like this.
That was, I'm not sure exactly how that started, but McGlade there getting spun around and eventually coming across the track with cars coming as well. Not sure there was much he could have done about that though, because of just everything going on. And the cars behind, as you said, there's 4 or 5 cars that are getting all involved. They're crashing coming into the pit lane. There's a little chicane on the pit entry as well. They're crashing through. That has been chaotic scenes there, and that is not the way that we've seen racing on the iR-04. Normally it's a lot nicer than that, but that is just how tight this track can be.
Yeah, it's claiming many a victim, and we're only onto the 3rd lap now as Santos manages to claim a pretty dominant lead over Alfie Bradick there in 2nd place. 1.8 seconds is the gap between 1st and 2nd. The number 3 has really taken off in these early stages, but Kevin Apau and Bradick hopefully going to give us a bit of a fight for that 2nd place. But yeah, again, just as you quite rightly said, just that battle of attrition. Just people needing to be more careful, I think, on the opening laps. But again, it's so unavoidable, especially in such a tight circuit. Where can you expect them to go?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't really, especially in a corner like that. You're coming through a blind corner to see cars crashed in front of you. Oh no, we're going to see a replay. First of all, that's Olsen in the red number 1 car. And then as we come through the next part, oh yeah, McGlade just got caught up with the car in front of him. Can't quite exactly see who that is, but then you just see rolling across the track. A number of drivers getting involved, and this car is just so brittle and fragile that just going for a bit of a spin and a bit of a crash. But let's see how, just the purple car there just wiping the nose a little bit off that white car, and of course the chaos that followed.
Just absolute carnage is the only way you can describe that in any form, to give it any form of justice at all. But yeah, what a race so far. This has been so much carnage, so much action, but hopefully we can have more in the way of some fights for positions. I think this is the fight here for 2nd place between Alfie Bradick and Kevin Apau off the exit here down this back straight towards Hawthorne Bends. The number 4 going to the right hand side to defend. It should give him a decent enough of a defense, because going around the outside of Hawthorne's is going to be very difficult in its own right. But if they can give themselves a nice wide berth from the outside, side by side between the 7 and the 3, Kevin Apau, I think, just able to edge himself in front, and what a move that was.
That was an amazing move there. So much bravery around the outside of such a fast corner. We've actually seen Brady having a bit of a think about coming. Oh no, but Paul, he's gone way too fast there coming up the hill. He's lost the rear end. He's into the wall, and he's going to be out of the race. I don't know if there was any contact there. I think that might have been just on his own, but Bradish getting back up into 2nd place, and that is an absolute gift.
Yeah, well, you have to say indeed so, but he isn't really out of the clear at all. He's still got Tobias Olsen for company there in P3, only a couple of tenths back as well. As we see, yeah, you can just see that number 1 looming in the background, looking for that 2nd place. But again, you've just got to be so careful going for any sort of moves, and you've really got to have a lot of trust in that car in front to not make the mistake. I think a bit of side-by-side in towards Druids between Moran and Gregory. Are they going to run 2 by 2? Indeed they are. I think Moran there on the outside, Gregory trying to keep him honest. and well, just tucking in behind for the time being towards Graham Hill Bend. But yeah, still this fight rages on, and meanwhile Dion Sancho is having a lovely time out in front, still side by side, as a little bit further back. I think actually that is the back marker. That's Lewis McGlade going a bit slowly and just trying to keep out of everyone's way, and he's carrying on. He had his fast repair, but yeah, he's well, I think he might actually promote a bit of a fight here.
Yeah, this is actually the blue car. There's also a back marker, so there's a bit of a fight here of the guys who had a pit stop now getting involved. This battle for the top positions as well. So that is Moran there in the number 6 machine up into 4th place, and you know, just looking pretty good there so far because he's got a bit of a gap behind him, a couple of seconds. But you know, it just depends how this one's going to work out with the traffic and how that works for the guys behind. But for sure, the top 3 have got a bit of a lead. Olsen managing to come back from his issues and his wiggles and off tracks so far to still be in that podium place. So let's see how that one works. But as you say, Santos, he's really starting to run away with this.
He's just having a very, very comfortable time. I think a little bit wide for one of the back markers as Gregory manages to get himself up inside the top 5 ahead of Ibanez Tebar there, just falling victim and going down to 6th place. Again, not often we talk about traffic in these sprint races as we see Olsen getting himself up. Oh, bit of a slide on the exit. Still that car very squiggly, and Alfie Bradick able to get himself back up. His counterattacks are proving to be very crucial in retaining that 2nd place. Still squirming underneath him is that number 1 for Olsen. He's got the inside though into this long left-hander, but underneath him goes Alfie Bradick. He's going to run side by side down this back straight towards Hawthorne Bend. It worked for Kevin DePaul. Is it going to work for Alfie Bradick?
Yeah, it certainly looks like it, and Olsen managing already up back into 2nd place from dropping down, and that is another nice move. So we can see some battles continue, but Olsen once again getting wiggly on the exit of a corner. That time not quite so bad, and manages to hold on to it, but for sure Olsen pushing to the limits of what this car is possible with. And is he going to go a bit too wide there? Yes, he is once again. Can he save it for the 2nd time? He can, and he somehow holds on to that 2nd place.
If in doubt, flat out. That is the philosophy Tobias Olsen is living by. He's just, wow, fair enough, mate. Yeah, touche. I mean, of course, in this particular, of course, there's 2 categories of the iR-04. There's the fixed and the open. This is the open, so they have got free reign in terms of their setup. And I think quite clearly, Tobias Olsen is running a more twitchy, rear-ended car. Maybe down to personal preference, but again, you do have to tackle some of the corners here with some aggression just to get the car pointed in the right direction. And well, yeah, he is all over the place. I don't think he's particularly liking it so much. And here comes Alfie Bradick back to the inside of Graham Hill and side by side once more.
God, Olsen is having the time of it at this moment. It's all, you know, his own driving as well. He's not going off from other people, just getting very, very loose in that car. And as you say, Bradick really starting to have an opportunity now as we come up the straight once again. This is going to be a bit of a run. The slipstream is going to be working for that number 4 machine coming down to Hawthorne Bend. And this is obviously such a fast corner after the longest straight on the track, but it's not really a braking zone. So sometimes you have to really get the slipstream there. But Olsen holds on for the minute. But for sure, this battle is going to continue.
You have to expect he's going to make another mistake, and he does. He goes round, but has he kept that once more?
Oh
yes, he has. Wow, fair play to Tobias Olsen. Of course, it's not playing dividends in terms of positions on track as he fights with Ruben Moran there for P3, and Ibanez Tebar already onto the back of him there, I think maybe for P4 as well. But, I mean, he's given us a show. He's making himself look cool at the very least, and I think that counts for something.
I wonder, I mean, we'll have to see if we can find out, but I just wonder, as Olsen here comes into the pit lane, yeah, I wonder if there's some damage maybe on that car or something that's making it handle like that, because, or maybe just he's not used to the car, I'm not sure, because that was certainly a number of laps of very difficult situations. Unfortunately, Olsen from 2nd place is dropping all the way down in the pit lane, and that's given the opportunity, as you said, to Ruben Moran to get onto the podium and now have a really nice battle with Cesar Tabar as well for 4th place.
Yeah, he, of course, you do want to fight for that podium. With only less than half of this race left to go, it very much is a fight for 2nd place because Dion Santos is just absolutely flying out in front. 11 seconds. I think that's probably one of the large, or might well be one of the largest winning margins we have had so far this season. We'll have to look back at that one to confirm, but it's certainly a large one at that. We ride on board with Ruben Moran. He's got Tebar for company through Hawthorne's Bend, this long right-hander where you just have to, again, trust the car in front is not going to make a mistake, but again, ride as close close as you possibly can, just to keep the pressure on through this infield section, because the true overtaking opportunities are down into Druids, in towards Paddock Bend, maybe in towards Surtees, and if you've got the slingshot in towards Hawthorns. But again, you really can't do nothing in towards the likes of Sheen and Sterling unless someone in front of you makes a big mistake. But again, Tebar trying to put some pressure on, and I think Moran for the moment has got this one covered, but he's going to fight tooth and nail for that podium.
Yeah, you're right. The GP loop, as we call it, out in the woods isn't necessarily the best place for the overtaking, but it's where you gain the time and hold on to those positions, as we are starting to see this battle really close up for third place. Tobias getting a really good run here up towards Druids Bend, having a look to the inside, but not close enough just yet to make a dive down the inside. That's obviously the hardest braking zone on the track, and really the slowest corner as well, just with the way all the other corners are. They're sort of fast, sweepers, 90-degree corners, whereas that is a short, sharp hairpin as we get in towards Surtees once again, having a look down the inside, but maybe trying to get the run now as we come up to the back straight.
That slipstream is going to play dividends, especially when they're going to be running slightly higher downforce setups around Brands Hatch. You gain a little bit more from the slipstream because you get significantly less drag compared to the car in front. Is Tebar going to look to the inside? Yes, he is. Sends one for the move, for the podium. And, well, Moran sees him coming a little bit wide, though, goes the number 5. But Moran still has to tuck in and concede the podium. You have to expect, though, that this battle is far from over when you're fighting for such a prestigious position in that podium place. Yeah, Tebar is going to try his best to try and pull away, but crucially for Ruben Moran, he has to, as you say, through the GP loop, just try and stay very close, maximise off little mistakes like that off the exit of Sterling. Can Moran launch a counter-attack? Is he close enough in towards Clark? I don't think so, but again, he's going to try and put that pressure on, use that toe to his full advantage, and through Clark, you really want to take a slightly tighter line, minimise that distance, and if Tebar runs slightly wide, again, it could allow Moran to keep that pressure on.
Yeah, it's been a nice fight so far between these two. Nice clean fight, but of course that slipstream just brings Moran right back into it. As we can't talk Druids, have a look almost. No, they're definitely very close though. But Tabar holds it down to the apex and is certainly holding on to that position. But we did see him go just a little bit wide in a couple of corners, so got to be careful of that. This corner though, you're going to see everyone go wide because you can get away with it on the track limits there. But of course, in other corners, it isn't so forgiving if you decide to go off the track. But of course, the slipstream now up the hill and then back down Pilgrim's Drop is going to be the important part of the track. Can Moran start to get back?
He's going to hope so, because 6 minutes and 34 seconds left to go in this race. He's going to be running out of time, and of course, as the time ticks down, so too does his opportunities to get himself back on to the podium. Just has to sit there, put some pressure on, try and, again, as I say, capitalise off some mistakes, just stay close and play that psychological warfare between himself and Tebar for this podium place, because mistakes can so easily happen, opportunities can so easily arise, but again, you have to put yourself in those positions to be able to capitalise off those opportunities. And yeah, again, he's just got to be so careful, maximize every bit of track he possibly can, use every bit of runoff he possibly can, shorten the distance as much as he possibly can. And again, it's going to be a tough ask, but so far it's been kept really clean and respectful. Overall, as a general statement for this race, of course, we had that big bit of carnage a little bit earlier on with numerous cars, but for the most part, the race has been kept nice and clean and respectful. And I think that's more so drivers not wanting to get involved in yet another crash. And deep goes to Bar. Potentially this could open the door for Moran.
He certainly can, side by side as we come down the hill once again, but it seems that Tabar's able to hold on to this position still, but Moran's going to get the run there as Tabar goes too wide as we come up towards Surtees corner, and that is going to be the position gotten, but that is not going to be the best exit actually from Moran as we come out onto the back straight. Once again, Tabar's going to be getting the slipstream back towards Hawthorn Bend. We've seen multiple overtakes so far, really the best. Overtaking opportunity if you can get the slipstream, if you can get the run. Moran holding on to it. Tabar though towards inside, side by side through the apex, but actually Tabar manages to get back. Moran gives him the space and actually backs out of that one in the end.
Yeah, again, he's just taking that air of caution, especially through Hawthorn. So precarious to go around the outside of there because, again, you're putting so much trust. Defensive in towards Dingledale, and Sheen goes to Bar just to secure that place. Doesn't want any chance of Moran sneaking his nose up the inside in towards the next left-hander of Sterling towards Clark. And, yeah, Moran's still putting that pressure on. And, again, he's doing the crucial thing. As soon as an opportunity arises, he doesn't back out. He puts his nose forward. He says, I'm still here. And, again, that's just going to lead to that feedback of Tobias consistently looking in his mirrors, not focusing on his driving as much, and will lead towards him, maybe making some more mistake. The gap back to Craig Gregory as well isn't so large, and if they continue to fight, this could quite easily turn into a 3-horse train for the podium place.
Certainly can, and that's one thing. If you start battling like this, losing yourself time, you are just going to be opening it up to people behind. And look at the amount of positions gained there by some of these drivers. With Tobias out 10, and even down in 13th place, Kevin Lepel going down 10 as well. But loads of other drivers well up in the green. Such was that chaotic opening couple of laps that we saw in this race, and of course it's turned into a really great battle here for the podium a little bit further down the line. We haven't really mentioned Santosh, but he is still there leading fairly comfortably out in the front, so he's starting to enjoy that, which is what we really like to see. So let's see how this one continues.
He's been quick and consistent and hasn't got himself into any skirmishes. Of course, managed to break away early on, and that was the crucial thing for him, was to just get that clear air. He was quick by some margin in qualifying and managed to keep that in towards this race. A fight between Aronson and Keys through Hawthorne. I think they're going to be fighting over this P8 place, only 3:10 separating them, but there are only a couple of laps left to go in this race. Again, you still have to bide your time. You still have to wait for the opportunity to rise a bit wide for the 18 of Aronson. And Keys, again, biding his time, waiting for that opportunity. And sometimes you do have to force those opportunities yourself. You can't just wait for the driver in front to make a mistake, because if they're anything like Dion Santos up in front, the chance they're going to make one isn't very likely. So maybe some tactics in play for Keys, send one to the inside or pretend to send one to the inside to put Aronson under some fake pressure that then forces him into the mistake.
Absolutely, it's getting to that point of the race. Well, a couple of minutes left, a couple of laps left in this battle. As we come up towards George, who is going to be able to come out on top of this one. No dives down the inside just yet. He's starting to have a think about it, but not enough that time around, not close enough that time around, he didn't believe, to have a dive. But for sure, that one is going to be coming with just 2.5 minutes left, and the laps are going to be coming thick and fast as we get towards the end, as we're getting side by side once again for the podium.
Tobias defensive in towards Hawthorne's once more. Moran trying to go the long way round, so close to contact between the two. The number 5 gets a compromised exit, not compromised enough for Moran to once again sneak his way in towards the inside of Westfield. Dip down the hill towards Dingledale and Sheen Curve. And Tobias still leads the podium charge with only, I think this will be the penultimate lap of the race. I think it's going to be quite close actually with Santos. I think we might actually get 2 more, and I think that is going to be the case, as our timing screens do say lap 13 of 15. So 2 more to go, and this is well and truly developing into a 3-car train. And what's crucial for Moran is he doesn't want to fight too hard with Gregory, which might be the case, as he's actually made a bit of a mistake, fallen off the back of Tobias. And if they start fighting, it's going to be a much easier ride for Tobias to run away with this podium.
Always had a bit of a spin here in the background, the number 30 machine Keys there. That is going to drop him out of that fight there for 8th place with Aronson. I wonder if there was contact there, or if that was just him pushing so hard and losing the rear end. But for sure, where the car is, it's not that far around the corner, so I wonder if that was just losing the rear on the entry initially. For sure, that was not the nicest place to be in as we come back to this. And Gregory's starting to close in on Moran, actually, as Tobias has gone up the road in that 3rd place.
Tire temperatures are very crucial in the iR-04s, especially at a circuit like Brands Hatch, and maybe Moran is just pushing just a little bit too hard in these later stages of the race, trying to get that podium place, and in doing so has in fact overheated his tyres just a little bit, and that could explain the drop-off from Tobias and falling into the clutches of Craig Gregory behind. And it is so crucial. It's such an easy feedback loop to fall back into as well, and it's so difficult to get out of, and that can really have a huge deficit in pace if you fall into that trap. But got to be very, very careful as we cut our attention to our race leader. 13.5 seconds he leads over Alfie Bradick. He's only got 1 more lap to negotiate, and he's probably just going for a nice Friday night drive with this one.
Yeah, it's loving it. I mean, sometimes you do actually want a bit of a boring race in terms of from your point of view, because having a 13-second gap over the course of a 20-minute race is just so nice. That was about 6-7 seconds already after the first couple of laps, and that's just increased slowly but surely over the course of the race. And that number 3 machine is working its way on this final lap. Just 5 seconds left, which means this will be the final lap of the race. There we go. Time is down, and just half a lap to go to take a very dominant victory.
He's done an absolutely sensational job, has Dion Thansros. And as I said a bit earlier on about how he just managed to clear away from the start and break away and do his own thing and have that clear air. Of course, his margin in qualifying was something around about the margins of around about 6.5 tenths over second place. And yeah, that has really helped him just to solidify his position in P1, because even with that pace, it's so easy to fall back into the clutches, especially at a circuit like Brands Hatch. But he avoided the carnage, he avoided the trouble, and he's only got one more corner of the famous Clark curve left to go to take the win here for round number 6 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. He's going to enjoy the run. Bit of traffic to negotiate. He won't have to worry about it. Shortest run to the checkered flag is going to be Dion Thansros, who takes the win here for round 6 of the iR-04 Challenge Series. What a drive from the number 3. And well, he can certainly be proud about that one. We're going to wait for Alfie Bredick and Tabar to cross the line in second and third. Or is that going to be how they rack up? Because Ruben Moran and Craig Gregory have given them a right old fight towards the checkered flag. I think it will be Tabar that takes the podium, followed by Ruben Moran and Craig Gregory. But what a fight it was for the podium, and what a drive it was for the number 3.
Yeah, it's so dominant there out the front. No one could touch him in qualifying or in the race. That crash, unfortunately, a bit earlier on, taking out, some of the contenders there for the podium places, which is such a shame. But of course, that is what happens when you come racing around such a tight circuit. And unfortunately, a few too many drivers caught up in that one. And of course, Olsen there, I don't know exactly where it might have come from, but he's definitely had some sort of issues going off the track multiple times as well. So very chaotic race, but certainly entertaining with that battle for the podium. So we certainly got some nice fights, which this car seems to do everywhere.
Yeah, you can take it anywhere and it will race. I would be interested to see what circuit it can't race at, but it seems week in, week out, as we've had the tighter circuits really, especially in the UK. I don't know about the world, but it's certainly going to be up there. Knockhill and Brands Hatch both have been sensational races, not necessarily fights for the race lead per se, but certainly amongst the midfield, it has given us some awesome action. And after those 20 minutes of racing, here is how they rack up. It was Dion Thansros who took the win ahead of Alfie Bredick and Tabar that round off in second and third. Ruben Moran and Stein sat round off the top 5 in 4th and 5th, respectively, with Craig Gregory just missing out on that top 5. Florian Doradit in P7 with Nick Aronson P8. Then comes Bruce Keys and Kieran Chitsey rounding off the top 10, looking a little bit further down to P11. Aaron Alvarez in P11, Kevin Apau P12, a long way off the leader there because of those early skirmishes. Espen Knudsen in P13. Those that really didn't have a good day: Jesper Sandstrom, Lewis McGlade, Kortelainen, Reitzma P17, Tobias Olsen and Alan Rasmussen P18 and P19. The fast lap, a 1:22.420, unsurprisingly from our race winner there on lap 11. And well, 15 laps of just absolute carnage, absolutely sensational action there, Cam. And well, just as we always say, the bar is always set high with this series.
Yeah, certainly is, and I can't really wait to see how this is going to go over the course of the next few races. We've got Spa-Francorchamps coming up as well, so loads of slipstream there next week. It's going to be a good one.
It really is, and while you might argue it is slightly an overused circuit, it certainly has rightfully earned its claim to be overused, because it is just such a fantastic circuit, both its history and the racing it can produce. And of course, we go from complete poles, really. Brands Hatch and Spa, you couldn't really get much different in terms of on-track action. So again, we'll prove how versatile this iR-04 can be. But we will see you in a week's time, same time as tonight, ladies and gents. It has been myself, Zach Sweeney, alongside Cameron Roger in the commentary booth, with Zach Johnson behind the scenes on the production feed. And yeah, from myself and Cam, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk you through the action. And well, we hope to see you next time. But until then, take care, guys.